The coaching and service provider industry is growing faster than ever, and let's be real, what worked in 2020 is not working in 2025 in the same way. I'm going to walk you through in today's video the 6 things that I really see working for myself and my clients in 2025. What is working? What strategies should you be using? How should you be shifting how you are selling your offers? What should you be doing to actually get ahead in 2025 as a coach or service provider? As a business coach who has worked with over 100 clients in all different niches, all different industries, and a lot of them at 6 figures, I want to share with you what I'm really seeing work in the conversations I'm having with my clients right now in terms of what we're focusing on going into 2025, what is actually working right now, what is actually getting the big success right now, what you should be focusing on, and the kind of predictions essentially for where I really see this industry going in the next year. So grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, and let's talk about how you can shift your business in 2025, the small things you can be doing to really see some big success. So the first of these strategies that I want to share is short form and long form content. So for years, we've seen a focus and we've seen a shift towards short form content. And obviously that is amazing for visibility. It's amazing for getting new eyes on you. And also long form is really making a bit of a comeback in terms of what is leading towards getting the actual clients from all of this visibility that you're getting. So these two go so beautifully together. I'm not saying get rid of the short form and go towards long form, but actually having a plan for both of those and having really almost a customer journey going from your short form to your long form is really where it is at for 2025. Short form is amazing for being the introduction to your world. It's where new people are coming in. It's where you're really building the visibility. It's where you're just getting a lot of eyes on your business essentially. But in terms of what's actually gonna sign you the clients, especially for higher ticket programs, especially for things like one-to-one, long form is absolutely incredible for that. Because sure, you can watch a lot of reels from someone, but actually sitting down and watching, a 20-minute YouTube video, listening to a 30-minute podcast from that person, those pieces of long form content are absolute game changers for actually getting people converting. If someone is listening to a 30-minute podcast episode that you have just put out, they're probably going to sign on as a client sometime, let's be real. They are clearly really liking your content. Again, they wouldn't be listening though to that probably if it wasn't for the short form content attracting them in the first place and getting them intrigued enough to go and subscribe to the podcast. But also the podcast plays a really important role there in actually getting them to be more nurtured, actually decide to work with you and actually sign up for something in the way that just the reels typically are going to take a little bit longer to do. So a lot of us already have these short form strategies already down. We're already posting the reels, the TikToks, all of those different things. So alongside that, think about adding in something longer form. I would say largely off of those platforms because typically on Instagram, we're not necessarily going to sit and watch a 20-minute video. We're going to have that natural urge to scroll. Something like YouTube, something like a podcast, a blog, something a little bit more longer form is a really nice thing to add in. And again, you can utilize the short form pieces leading towards that. I will so often post on Instagram and there'll be a Instagram post or Instagram story or email or anything like that leading towards this YouTube video. So people will come over here from those shorter pieces of content that I'm putting out because I'm teasing a little piece there and then leading over towards this YouTube video where people can actually get the full story. They can get me fully breaking down these strategies. And that is such a great kind of pathway naturally for people to go towards then. And it means your warmest leads are coming over and watching this video or listening to this podcast and are much more likely to actually be the ones signing up for something then. The second strategy I really see working well in the whole industry in 2025 is results-driven marketing. I think especially as more people are coming into the space, honestly, results are standing out more than ever. People are really looking for that trust. People are really looking for, okay, who is actually getting results? Who can I work with that I can really trust that it's a confident decision that I can make essentially? Who has the credentials to back this up? And results marketing is more important than ever, I would say, of overly sharing your results. Now, I'm not saying you need to have 1,000 different results here. You do not need to have a whole host of different things. But really, firstly, what I would be doing if I was in your shoes is think about all of the clients I've worked with in the last year. Have I got from them a written testimonial, a video testimonial, screenshots from our time working together, and just collect all of these things. If you haven't got a video testimonial, for example, reach out to that past client and ask them, would they be happy to send over a video testimonial that you can then utilize? Because again, that's so helpful, just having that extra level of, trust essentially with something like a video testimonial. And then what I would do is make sure you are consistently sharing those things. So at least once a week, somewhere in your strategy, sharing that in terms of an Instagram post, Instagram story, email to your list, whatever it is, share those client results, share those testimonials to just really reinforce the fact that you are actually getting these results for your clients and actually showcase what you actually do inside your program. Because it's one thing saying, I help people achieve this, but showing it, these are just really undeniable facts essentially. So it's really easy for someone to decide to work with you at that point. So share the heck out of those testimonials. Don't be afraid to share them more than once as well. I feel like so often we are thinking, okay, I've shared this once 6 months ago, so I can never ever share that testimonial again. Go ahead and share it again, and make sure you're really just reiterating, the fact of you get those results for your clients and making the most out of those amazing testimonials that you have collected. Now, I would also say here as well, something really helpful to think about is there any kind of tangible metric you can really track in terms of your client results? So for example, with me, you'll hear me say several times about the 54% average revenue increase that my clients have had when I calculated that and sat down and did all the maths there, 22% hours less worked. I'll share a lot of those statistics because they're helpful just for people to see, okay, what does it look like to work with her essentially? Some of my clients will say, we've had a X% success rate in this certain industry. My clients have gone from, this weight to this weight, for example, on average. Anything along those lines where you can just make it a little bit tangible can be really, really helpful for just kind of showcasing those average client results and showcasing what you've generally been able to achieve with your clients. Now, the next thing I see working really, really well in 2025 is creativity in your offerings. I feel like we are so bored of just seeing the same old program structures of we have a group program, we have a weekly call, we have a Facebook group around that. People are bored of just seeing the same thing. And I think it's so exciting and just so intriguing naturally when we see something that is a little bit different. Not saying, of course, you need to sit down and do this big mastermind and come up with something that's completely innovative and the industry has never seen before, but that small piece of creativity can make a really big difference. For example, with me, my sales course, Full Body Yes Sales, it's in the description if you want to check it out and see what I mean here. I have a sales strategy builder inside that, which is very different from any normal sales course. Most sales courses will just say, go do this, here's step 1, here's step 2, here are your modules. Now just go and do those things essentially. I have that, and also I have a sales strategy builder, and within that there are 9,600 different combinations that you could possibly come up with here. So essentially with that, we'll say, okay, here is the skeleton, here is the overall process of the sales map that you need, and then within that, let's fill in each step with a strategy. Here are some ideas of what you could do at each step, but you're the one putting that in and picking out what you're doing each step essentially. All proven to get really amazing results, but you're the one choosing each step. And there are 9,600 combinations out here. So essentially with this passive course, you're getting something kind of customized a little bit at the end. That is also proven. So it's just, again, a really different way of approaching sales programs. And I know a lot of people who have signed up really, really resonate with that and really enjoy that fact that we can come up with my own process through this. Not just from you telling me, go and do that yourself, but actually a sales strategy builder that we can really work almost collaboratively, even though it's passive there. Another example where I did the sales challenge about 6 months ago, and I was bringing everyone together with the idea of, okay, we're going to sell once a day, we're going to sell, and we're really just going to show up and do that. Things like that where you're really just approaching programs differently. We didn't have any calls. It was just me dropping in with a little sales note every so often, and we were really having that accountability to sell each day in your business. So different just ways of approaching programs, and just bringing in that little bit of creativity can just be so amazing for just getting your programs to stand out. And I say this as something which really works well because we are naturally struggling to get attention from people in terms of people looking at our offers, people reading our offers, people actually, just paying attention to it essentially, because there's just so much noise going on online. And it's a really easy way to make your programs stand out and make people remember them if you just have that slight little different thing. If you have something which is just a little bit unique that people are going to remember and it's just a bit memorable there. Now, the next shift that I'm really seeing for the coaching industry in 2025 is focusing on lifetime client value versus acquiring new clients. So we've all heard this before, but it is so much easier for you to just retain a client and for someone to just have an amazing experience and just continue working with you. And in 2025, what's working really well for me and my clients is actually creating offer suites where this is intentionally built in. So you've actually got a really natural next step for someone after your first program. You've got a really natural ladder built between your different programs where it's easy for someone to decide to upgrade. It's easy for them to decide to stay with you inside a certain program because there's certain incentives, etc. And actually having to think through, okay, how can I make sure that people want to stay in my world? People want to upgrade to the next program when they have, reached a new income level, when they have upgraded there and kind of surpassed that transformation. What is that next step for them? And having that next step already set up, it is so much easier to actually retain clients and actually build these long-term clients and actually just give them this amazing value throughout their entire lifetime. And that is so much of what goes into building that really consistent income as well, having these really consistent clients and having this as a foundation. So it means that every time you're acquiring a new client, it's kind of just stacking on top of this versus needing to replace clients that you're losing essentially. And I see a lot of this pattern in clients as well of people are just wanting to stay with a mentor for years versus jumping around. I think once people have found someone who they have a really good experience with, they find really helpful, they get results from, they kind of want to stay with them, right? They don't necessarily want to go and hop over to someone else and kind of start again from scratch essentially. So actually making it easy for your clients to do that, focusing on, of course, giving an amazing client experience first and foremost, and also just creating that offer suite and creating those strategies where it's easy for them to stick around by prioritizing that client lifetime value. The fifth shift I see really, really working well in 2025 is having multiple sales funnels versus just selling on Instagram stories. I feel like this is so much the narrative, just sell your offers on Instagram stories, just post them up, and then, people will sign up from there. And I think firstly, it's relying on one way to actually get clients and just putting all your eggs in that basket and hoping for the best with that one versus actually having multiple different intentionally mapped out sales funnels makes it really easy for you to get consistent leads and get consistent clients from that. And actually starting to think about that and think about your business more so instead of how do I sell from Instagram stories today and what am I going to post on Instagram stories? Instead thinking about it as, okay, what are the multiple different pathways that people can come into working with me? What are these different funnels, essentially pathways, that people can come into my space and sign up for this offer? How am I making this happen? And actually having multiple different ways that people can come in, multiple different ways that you're selling, it makes it so easy and natural to sell as well because you're not just saying and doing the same thing every day. You're jumping between these different funnels every single day. You're selling in different ways. People have different options of ways to jump in so it can really meet them where they're at. It just essentially gives you so many more options for how you can actually be signing clients versus just relying on that one specific medium. So I really see myself and my clients are very much mapping out those different ways that we can sell and what those different funnels look like and how we can actually just sell those different offers essentially. If you're wanting a breakdown of one of these, I broke down in a video a few weeks ago my mini offers funnel. I will put the link in the cards here. So go and check that out. You can see how I actually sold through that specific funnel and what that looks like, but really thinking about what are some different funnels that you can build out to just sell in different ways. And then the final thing that I see working so well in 2025 is creative micro niches, what I would call them. So realistically, it's 2025. I think we all kind of need to niche down a little bit at this point because there's just a lot of people doing what you do. There's a lot of people in this space, and the more general we're trying to be, the more vanilla we are to everyone, essentially. We're kind of just an okay fit for everyone versus being an amazing fit for our ideal clients. So the more we can firstly just niche down in general, that is so helpful to actually standing out. And again, when we're struggling to naturally get eyeballs on our business because there's just so much noise on social media, standing out is kind of what we want to be doing. So I would really encourage you to firstly think about niching down a tiny bit in terms of your messaging or just your specific angle, specifically how you work with clients. For me, for example, I focus not just on business coaching, but strategic simplicity to build consistent income in your business. So that's really my focus. That's really the direction I take, which really makes it stand out a little bit in terms of how I do the business coaching essentially. But also I see this working really well in terms of what I would call the creative micro niches are getting hyper specific, kind of stupidly specific almost with a specific area. So for example, if I was to say as a business coach, I'm just focused on sales funnels and I'm just talking about that, but I'm adding a fun little creative twist to it. So if it was, for example, sales funnels done in this specific program or anything like that, I'm adding a little bit of a twist to that you wouldn't typically see, and not just going with the very norms of, for example, if you're a website designer, I'm a Squarespace web designer. Actually just thinking about how can I put a fun little twist on that, which just makes it stand out in a way that no one else is almost going to have this same specific brand as me, the same specific way of approaching this as me, and it's very easy for me to stand out just because of what I've built here. Now, this is not saying you need to just focus on this area and just do this one thing, but actually just having that as being a bit of a leading piece for you of this is specifically what I focus on. This is specifically what I'm the biggest expert in, essentially, is really nice in terms of standing out and just really making it easy to find your people. But then also once people do find you and decide they want to work with someone in this area, there's not really competition here, right? You've kind of eliminated the competition because you're the obvious go-to because you're that little bit more specialized in that specific area. So again, I see that working really well in terms of just getting a little bit more specialized, a little bit more specific in how you're doing things and how you're actually approaching things in your business, because then you become the obvious yes versus they could fit, they could be a good fit. You're just a really obvious yes for your ideal clients then. So those are the 6 things that I see working so well for coaches and service providers in 2025, and that me and my clients are currently working on and implementing in our own businesses. So would love you to let me know in the comments, what are you going to be implementing? Which of these tips are you going to be trying out? What are you going to be shifting in your business in 2025? Make sure you give this video a like if you found it helpful, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the new videos every single Monday. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.